This morning, we're concerned with transformative skills and strategies for AV marketing leaders. The marketing landscape is experiencing a major transformation, with AI redefining customer interactions, platforms advancing rapidly, and capturing attention becoming increasingly challenging. Marketers are compelled to evolve not only their strategies, but also their personal skill sets. To discuss this further, and to introduce the panel, please welcome from Avixa, Monisha Devaya. Monisha?
Thank you, Tim, for the introduction. Hello, everyone, and welcome. We are very excited to have you here today for what promises to be a very enlightening session on what is next in marketing. The AV Marketers Meetup has been an annual event at Integrate, and we're very excited to bring together all marketers who are here at the booth, visiting the show, or just curious about marketing. So this is a perfect opportunity for us to take that moment, meet up, and talk about what are the trends, what's keeping us awake, when we navigate through all the technology that is coming up. So today, we'll discuss how we build agile, high-performing marketing teams, how we bring in the human-centric approach to marketing, and what are the skills that are absolutely required for us to navigate these challenges. Without further ado, let me introduce our wonderful panel here. And we have Jody Steele from the PA People. Jody is a seasoned marketing professional with over 22 years, and she's currently leading marketing and events at the PA People. Welcome, Jody. We have Lenka Starankova with us with ULA Group. She has spent over 2 decades in marketing and shaping brands within the AV industry, so that's a lot of experience within AV. And she's collaborated with various international teams on a global scale. Welcome, Lenka.
Good morning.
Alex. Please welcome Alex, who is the General Manager of eVisual Productions, a premium live event production company specializing in event delivery and AV installations. She has a very vast background spanning hospitality and venues, and she brings a wealth of operational insights with client services and in events. Welcome, Alex.
Thank you.
I'm very excited to tap into all our collective experiences, and I hope that this is going to be a very interesting conversation as well. So from a very marketing perspective, a very broad perspective, marketing has definitely changed. Everything is fast, everything is measurable, and everything is now. And everything is more efficient with AI. So let's dive in right to this topic, which is sort of on everyone's mind, right? We all have worked on AI in some way or the other. It has touched our lives more than anything has ever done. So internet, yes, it started when internet really was sort of the in thing. It has transcended even the internet revolution. If you look at it, every generation is now touched by AI. So from your experience, how have you seen AI begin to define the customer interactions? And what do you see as the next in AI for marketing? So you want to go first?
Sure. Hello, everybody. We were talking about this earlier. So when I was preparing for today, I was talking to a friend of mine. I said, what are they going to talk about? Like, have I got anything relevant to say? And they were like, why don't you just stick the questions into ChatGPT? And I went, I think that defeats the purpose, doesn't it, somewhat? But it was very, very relevant. So I did, because I wanted to see if it said what I thought. I think that there's 2 ways that AI, obviously, we use it in marketing. It's the customer coming into the company, so chatbots and how we deal with those leads coming in, and then obviously comms going out. So how we communicate what our brand is and how we communicate what it is that we're trying to say, and they're 2 different kind of sides of AI. I would say that where AI is going is not necessarily, where you think AI is going is not necessarily going to affect us in our real life day-to-day SME kind of environment just yet. The real technologies and the fast-paced AI stuff that's happening when we're talking about it is very B2C orientated, and it's very and it's a high cost to get it right. I think what we need to do is get what we're doing now right, going into websites and getting stuck in an endless chatbot loop that's not answering any of your questions. That's so detrimental to your brand. So get that right first, and the other things will follow.
Yeah. Lenka, what do you have to say from your experience with AI?
So I did exactly the same because we are talking about AI. So I typed a question to ChatGPT, and you will hear exactly the same what Jody said. Would you like that? That's what AI is about, right? So obviously, everyone is using it. I wouldn't think there is anyone in the room who haven't had any interaction with AI. Definitely agree that it's more B2C at the moment than B2B because it's more complex to do B2B, obviously marketing. You are not necessarily, or you are interacting with the person, which is not necessarily it's the voice of the company, but you are not necessarily interacting with his opinion, or you wouldn't be his first choice, So you really need to think about who is your audience. You really need to, and we are the company, and we have been for last literally 20 years, focused on that personal touch, personal experience, and building relationships. Yes, it's a very different world these days, and you need to learn how to use AI and don't lose those personal relationships, but use it to your advantage. That's how I see it these days. And yeah, obviously you wouldn't like the same reply from me, from Jody, myself, Alex. It's all about being different. AI doesn't really do that well at this stage, does it?
Alex, what do you have to say? Especially in the live events, it's a little different. So how do you use AI, and what do you have to say about AI?
Absolutely. So I think everyone obviously is using AI in some capacity, whether it's to gain knowledge, to write your copy, to write your social posts. And no matter how you're utilizing it at this stage, I think everyone is starting to get bombarded by a lot of generated copy that doesn't speak to you personally. And I think if you start using that too much, it will dim the senses a little bit. So it will avoid the personal connection. So when you can tell that you have received an email that is AI generated copy, or you're reading a LinkedIn post that you can tell is AI, it creates a bit of a barrier, and you become less engaged in that platform. So I think there will be a movement, whilst a lot of companies are using that to generate copy, to generate social posts, there will be a movement back into, and I am biased, but more experiential events and experiential marketing. You can see how busy the show floor is for the past couple of days. People need that human connection, and they want to demonstrate, and they want to interact with people. So yes, AI is helping in a lot of contexts, but I think it will have an on-flow into a boost of more experiential marketing.
Yeah, that's absolutely right. And I think on a very light note, I would like to say that, I wish AI can do my dishes and the cooking while I can write a book, right? I mean, that's what I want AI to ultimately do for me. That's a very interesting point you just mentioned, Alex, about customization. So how, in the hyper-personalized world, as we call it in marketing, how do we really create a balance between, personalization and creepy overreach? So we're always in pressure to sort of send off 200 emails, but, with personalization, like great copy, great subject lines. So how are you navigating this challenge of personalization versus overreach?
Like other. Look, I think this is where it really comes down to your brand voice, which is what AI doesn't know, and it doesn't know who your target audience is, depending on what it is that you're trying to do. I've noticed every time I do put something into ChatGPT, as an example, it gives me a lot of arrows and smiley faces and emojis and starbursts and all the other things that it gives me. That's good if I'm doing something maybe with my kids' rugby club, but my boss would be horrified if I did that for the PA people. because our brand is not that. Our brand is about moving really heavy objects above people's heads and safety and engineers and all the rest of it. So, you've got to be confident in your own brand. In terms of personalization, we've all had a chat with our best mate about a dog we like, and then being bombarded on socials for the next 3 months about a breeder in Southwest Australia somewhere. That's a hard no from me. I think it's really lazy marketing, and I think that it doesn't create any long-term relationships. I know we've got a question about that a bit later, but yeah.
Like any experience in
Yes,
if you went at the end of receiving such creepy emails?
AI can be creepy, right? How do you feel when someone you don't know knows a lot about you? Yeah, not a great feeling. I've got an experience. We hired a girl, amazing lady, young lady, straight from uni. She does everything with ChatGPT. Everything. Ask her to write a press release, and she gets it done in 10 minutes. It takes me probably 2 hours literally to write a good press release, even more, do a research and do it. She does it in 10 minutes and she thinks she's done. She sends it to me and I'll try to explain, well, yes, it's done, but it's not. It just doesn't sound like our brand. It's not our voice. People will know that this is AI generated. You can't do that. Very hard to explain it to the young generation. Yeah, so I agree. Yes, a brand needs to be something very specific. And we are living in the world which is full of obviously influencers and full of Kim Kardashians, and everyone wants to be the same. Do we really? We are working in the creative space, with the creative people, with the lighting designers, with the people who wants to create something new and different and unique. I don't think we all want to be the same. And I don't think AI, again, can do it. AI is a great tool and can help you, but there needs to be a brand leadership, which is coming from a human and from knowing your audience.
Absolutely. I completely agree with both of you. And from my perspective, when it verges into that creepy overreach, I always look at two things. So the first would be, does this, whatever I want to communicate, does it add value? So is it informing people? Is it inspiring people? Is it making them laugh? Is it doing it? That value can be anything at that point, but it has to have a value of some point to the client or the potential client. And then secondary is, how are they getting that information? So if I put myself in their shoes, how are these people getting this information from me? If I'm on an exhibition show floor and I get someone scans my details, your booth or something like that, and then suddenly I get a notification saying, oh, actually, can you do X, Y, Z? And like, I kind of would have liked to know how some of these things are being used, or, but does it add value? Is it that I met Jody yesterday and I get a notification saying, hey, Jody's actually speaking tomorrow? That adds value because I want to go see that. I had a great chat with her yesterday and now I want to hear what she has to say. That adds value. So that's always what I look at in terms of making sure we don't go on to the creepy overreach.
Absolutely.
I think it's about trust and transparency. I think, business is always about the trust. And you need to build that trust with your customers, and they need to know, how are you using the data? How are you using AI? And basically, how are you going to interact or use that data to not your advantage, but to help them? You need to turn it around and say, okay, I'm here to help the customers. I'm trying to make their transitions, their experience easier and more personal. How would they like to be approached without being bombarded and feeling, okay, this is getting too much?
Absolutely. I think there's one of the surveys that was done, and 70% of consumers did mention that they would like to know how the data is being used. And that also brings a lot of focus on ethical use of AI. More than ever. It's just not about GDPR compliance. It's also about letting the customer know what is very important. I just want to kind of go back to one of the very important points you mentioned, like about brand building. So I think as marketers, we are constantly working on brand building versus performance marketing, right? So the budgets are always like, okay, I needed to get the maximum ROI with this campaign. But there's also the brand. So what happens with the brand? So how do you all manage this sort of challenge with brand versus performance marketing?
Never ever let return on investment affect your brand. That's what I would say. Yeah. And obviously, there is a difference between what marketing people think and what people think. Salespeople always wonder, obviously, yes, money in the bank, but we want to build relationships. And I think we would all agree, if we are looking short-term return of investment, but we are sacrificing the brand, that's the way to hell. I have been just recently to a conference, which was how to become a millionaire in next 6 months.
Why are you still here?
I know, because I didn't agree. And it was all about building funnels, marketing funnels. It was, no, you don't need a website. Why would you need a website? It's just, one interaction, which will turn the dollars and you will have the dollars in your bank. Yes, right. One purchase. What's after that? Yeah, and again, I think that's the question. B2C is very different than B2B. We are working long term. We are working with the people who, yes, a person who will do or influence the purchase today may not be working for the same company tomorrow. How do we create a relationship with the company and the person, but we make sure that that relationship is there if that person leaves?
Absolutely. I think performance marketing and ROI-driven strategy is very contradictory to brand strategy and having those long-term relationships, like Lenka said. And you just have to look, we were saying at a show like this, there's, I don't know about everybody else, but there's been heaps of people on my stand. It's been an amazing show, and that's because people want to interact with people. Nobody comes to Integrate to make a multi-million-dollar purchase on the stand and here's a piece of paper or here's a bear coaster sign here, right? They come to build those relationships. They come to ask questions. They come to see things. You have to have a balance. Being at something like Integrate will not return, an immediate ROI. It's not supposed to. That's not the idea. There are so many facets to a marketing plan, and there has to be some payment that comes back in. Otherwise, we can't continue to spend money. But it has to be a spider web of different ideas and different things that we're doing. Otherwise, you're going to have a very short lifespan.
Definitely. I think as like I said, the difference between the B2B and the B2C, there's loads of performance marketing strategies for the B2C sector, but B2B is all about relationships. And I have a sales background and went more into marketing. So there is part of me that always wants to go, well, let's look at these big things. But from my experience, the best business has always been made on relationships. And so you have the brand personality, which needs to build up trust. So that's built over a long period of time. So I'm sure many people in the room have had probably some of their biggest deals that have come through for the business built over years and years and years. And if you can't keep the momentum going of your brand voice, then that's where people start mistrusting the company as a whole. And if you lose the trust, you're going to lose the deal. So it's performance, but on a long-term strategy.
And we're in a really consumerism world, right? Use it, throw it away, go on to the next thing. That's not where we want to be, and that's really, we could talk about the environment, we could talk about a whole bunch of things, but it's also about repeat business, right? This is not the fast industry of just make the deal, move on to the next one. You want that person to come back. You want that person to repeat that business, and therefore you need to be offering them a few different things.
Yeah, I totally agree with this, because there was this once upon a very famous retailer said about advertising, half of the money I've spent is wasted. The trouble is I don't know which half, right? So I think just to achieve that balance between the performance marketing versus brand marketing, which is very important in B2B. And I think with the newer generation of marketers that are coming in, it's very important to also sensitize them that there is brand marketing, which seems to have somehow lost its way. So how do you really keep brand marketing going? So that's really a challenge. So beyond generative AI, what other technologies are you excited about? Do you think there's something else that can add value to what you're doing right now that in future could really be very helpful? Anything in marketing that you think would be?
I am excited, and again, it comes down to what we do as a company about augmented reality, about the stuff that you can put on your website. You can build the showrooms, interaction with the clients, video products. I think it's really cool what you can do, knowing again using the AI and data driven by AI and creating experience for the people who come to your website because they didn't choose to call you. They chose to obviously not have a personal relationship with you, but you can personalize their experience online. I think that's a great tool.
I agree with the augmented reality part of it as well, and more of a experiential marketing as well. I think it's going to open up the options for people that have products as well that don't fit in a booth or, your exhibition space. Think of big construction. There's so many opportunities where those events can grow and those exhibitors can really personalize their booths and their interactions. So imagine if, as opposed to having to bring in your level, your lighting, your audio to today's event, what happens if you could have a space and people could go in and experience what it would feel like in a room set up, of how they could feel the lighting and what effects that lighting could create in a room where it's designed to be. So that brings the experience into what can't always be achieved in an exhibition space.
Yeah, I agree with what they said.
But say that, sorry.
No, I was just going to say, I think the exciting thing for me is AI is here, right? And we were just talking about this earlier that, it's a bit of a cowboy land. It's very unregulated at the moment. So what's exciting for me is bringing in the experience, the personalization to the things that are already going to be here and using it, reining it in ourselves based on what we need out of it.
Right.
Yeah,
Something that
I just think we are all here to meet people, right? We are at the exhibition floor and we choose to come here and interact with humans. How would you feel if downstairs it was full of robots? There was no one. Would you come? Would you come and experience this? Why would you? You could do it online, right? So I think nothing can beat a human interaction. I think it will get to the point when if we overdo it, if we become creepy with AI, it will be too much and people will actually turn away. People would like, okay, well, no, I actually want to talk to Josh. I want to talk to people, person in person. I just want that interaction. I feel that people care about me. I don't think you can get the robot, feeling of a robot caring about you. It's about business. It's about money. Right? I think it's, just very different. And I obviously Integrate team is doing amazing job. And we have been coming to the show for over 20 years, I think so. And I just feel, okay, well, let's embrace what's there. Well, definitely embrace the technology. And you have to, otherwise you will be left behind. But don't forget, it's all about people and relationships and keep building on that.
Absolutely. I think very interesting point you made about people. And when you're talking about people, the AV industry itself is, I would say, a small, close-knit family, whichever part of the world you're in. And that brings a very important aspect when you're talking about communities, building communities of people who are within micro communities within AV, right? So we've seen that influencer marketing has kind of become very popular, viral in the B2C world. But what do you think about communities, building communities and influencer marketing in the B2B space? Have you all had any experience in that? Any thoughts on how do you build that?
I mean, we're all still people, right? So you take LinkedIn as a very obvious example. If I post something on my company's LinkedIn page and then I repost it on my personal page, that's always going to get a lot more interaction than what the company page did, right? So that is a form of micro-influencing. I wouldn't say I was an influencer. However, that message has got out far, far further by me posting it than by the company posting it, generally speaking. So, you build communities around people. You build communities around the industry you work in, the associations. I'll just plug a CETA. But yeah, we're still all people. So even though we're in a B2B environment, we're all the people that should be influencing each other and talking to each other.
I'll jump in. I think especially what you were saying about the LinkedIn and having yourself sharing it, and that will always gain more exposure. It's the building communities and using micro influencers are realistically they're your clients, they're your venues, they're your employees. They become your influencers for you. So if you can build those ambassadors that are sharing your content that you can tag, you can then access their audience as well. So the more you can get everybody involved, especially in a socials and social marketing technique, the more people you can get to help build your brand for you, the more people you're going to be able to access, utilizing and leveraging from their followers and from their connections. So you will access a wider market.
Yeah, absolutely. Make it about brand ambassadors. Don't make it sound like or don't make it look like it's a paid influencer. Yeah. Again, B2C, it's quite clear. Oh, yes, this person is getting paid for whatever they post, right? B2B, again, it comes down. We are working in the creative space. We are working with the people who want to be unique. Put their hints, put their ideas, but no one wants to be seen in our industry, I don't think so, that we are followers. Yes, so put their ideas, this is a different use of product. Look for something quirky, look for different use. Don't sell too hard.
Absolutely. I think user-generated content definitely works. And it's definitely a very frugal way of doing marketing as well. So I think even from Avixa perspective, we have built communities with Avixa Exchange. And one of the things that have also worked is building a pool of advocates who are talking about, it's all about thought leadership. It's all about topics that resonate with the audience. So that I think is a very good example, and from my perspective, in terms of building communities, even in a B2B space. Just moving on, we've talked a lot about technical expertise and a lot of strategies. To succeed in today's marketing environment, beyond this, what do you think are skills that marketers need to sort of develop and hone?
How to edit ChatGPT? No, I mean creativity and critical thinking. I think are two things that are really important traits in this world. And I say that as a joke, but I do mean it. I mean, I use AI to write different press releases and things now, particularly if I've got a writer's block or I need to get something done quickly, but I never, ever leave it as it is, right? So you use it as your building block, and then you've got to go back and go, how do I make this relevant to the person that I'm sending it to? Because if the person who I'm trying to reach reads the first couple of sentences and goes, that's not for me, that's clearly not for me, then I've lost them completely. So critical thinking, creativity, and editing.
I think artificial intelligence, let's use actual intelligence. Let's combine them together and let's use what artificial intelligence gives us and use it. Just think about it. Don't use it as it is. Don't use the data which is spit out of our engines. Just think about it. Okay, is that going to work for me? How can I bend it? How can I make it different? Still use it, but just do it slightly different than everyone else. That's what I would think. So obviously, yes, analytical, definitely skills, how to work with the data we all get. And also psychology, understanding people, knowing your audience, knowing your markets. And yeah, just use an intuition. Like we are all marketers. I think it's all we know, we know what works, we know what doesn't work. Use that intuition. Okay, I have done it before. There is a new technologies. Yes, take advantage of it, but just do it, yeah, with common sense.
Can't be common sense. But I would suggest, I guess, moving away from artificial intelligence and the human traits, mainly being empathy. Put yourself in your customer's shoes. What do you want to hear from this company? What would you take value from? I come from a mainly sales background, and I remember very early on in my sales career, we were taught very much about mirroring and, going on the same level as that person. And that's how you build up trust. And not really, that's a creepy salesperson way. But it does, if you can mirror and put yourselves in your client's shoes and really understand what value they're craving, then you will be able to talk to them and build up that trust. And the trust then builds your client base.
Absolutely. Very beautifully put by all three of you. And I think I would say embrace AI, but on your own terms, with bring in the emotional intelligence, and also sort of bring in the human element, because as marketers, we are dreamers, we are storytellers, and that I don't think AI can ever replace, right? So I think we're coming now to the last question. We've all had like a couple of decades of marketing experience, and looking back at your own professional journey, what's that one insight that you would like to sort of have at the beginning of your career, maybe with regarding adapting to change, or anything that you wish you had beginning of your career?
Don't think you know it all. When we are young and straight from uni, we think we are empowered by all the knowledge, all the new data, all the technology. Well, yes, we are, but the world out there is different. Put that into perspective. Go there, have a go, make mistakes. Don't be afraid of making mistakes. But yeah, just listen to more experienced people sometimes, who have been building the brand for a long time, and just take advantage. Just play.
I would say, particularly being a woman in the industry, is, have confidence and trust yourself, but also the only silly question is the unasked question, right? So make sure you do ask questions. For me personally, I would recommend to anybody, and this goes into the community thing that we were talking about, I would recommend to anybody to find yourself a mentor, find yourself somebody who you trust, that you can have a coffee with, you can have those conversations with, that you can ask the silly question if you don't want to do it, in a meeting or whatever, and just really find that person or find those people that will support you. I had a couple of those people for me, and I was very, very lucky that they were my cheerleader right through my early career and certainly now. And I think when we're talking about community, that's the thing that wants to keep us in the industry and wants to keep us learning and wants to keep us happy in what we're doing, and that's having support. So.
And I think it comes down to what I said, for young generation, don't think you know it all. It comes down to us as well. There is a generation who grew up with the AI, who grew up with all the technologies. We have so much to learn from them as well.
Yeah.
So let's all work together. Let's embrace it. Let's listen to them, because they will be the generation who will be the new purchasers. And yeah, just work together and just embrace learning.
Absolutely. And I would suggest my main recommendation, looking back on my own career, is don't let the fear stop you. So if there's a change or if there's something different that you want to do, don't let that stop you doing it. You will learn, you will be prepared, and it will be damn scary. And you may feel like the dumbest person in the room at times. That's okay, because you'll ask the questions and you'll have your community and you'll have your cheerleaders and you'll get there. But don't let the fear stop what you want to do.
Very nicely put. Thank you so much for those insights. And I think I would say that as we progress in our careers, finding your own voice, your authentic voice, building a personal brand, and also finding the ikigai, right? This is what I like to do. This is what kind of pays the bills. and this is also doing something for the community in general. With that, we come to the end of our discussion. Thank you so much for your wonderful insights, your experiences, and the floor is open to questions.
I'm in a marketing role as well. It's actually quite funny. I actually did some talk about it. I did some actually augmented reality in the stand last year, and Chris Holder wanted me to post it, but I thought that was actually I thought it was too nerdy. But people were going, "Wow, it's amazing!" So thanks, Alex. I probably should have done that.
We're all
But,
nerdy.
What I was going to ask is, have you looked into AGI, the artificial general intelligence and mimicking? And also, secondly, do you use AI to critique in reverse and compare multiple AIs, how they go? Or do you just use ChatGPT, one only? If you get my meaning.
Yeah, so I've experimented with a few different ones, and sometimes it depends on what you're trying to achieve. ChatGPT is usually a kind of go-to, but there's a lot. I find the image generation not great. So there's yeah, I'm still learning a few different ones, and I'm still experimenting. And I think that's basically the key is look into as many options as possible. Try them. Give it a go. If it works, it works. If it doesn't, no one needs to know about it. But yeah, that would just be my only recommendation is keep trying various different platforms and post the nerdy stuff. Definitely.
Definitely go and try as many as you can. Obviously, and yeah, there is a cost involved in that, 100%. Usually what you get with the obviously free version is not probably 10% of what you get with a paid version. So ask for the demonstration of the paid versions. Like, everyone used ChatGPT. I think there is no person who hasn't used that. Half of our content on the stand, visual content, is done in AI. Yeah, and that's again me working with the young people. I'll come to the the platform where we download all the images and all the video. There is an image of the dragon. They make it move. They make it an actually static image, and there is a perfect movement, 4K. Yeah, so there is definitely very powerful tools. You just need to find the right ones. A lot of them do it wrong, or a lot of them do it the way that you wouldn't use it for the commercial purpose. But yeah, just go and have a play.
I suppose asking AI rather than to do the work,
Yeah.
do you say what's wrong with the work?
I think actually, in terms of critiquing, not so much. I think a lot, I just don't like hearing bad things about my work, I think is more probably why I don't. And that probably is on me. I probably should. But I think the way that I probably use it more would be getting it to analyze data. So how did this email marketing campaign perform? Where can I improve? Where were people clicking? And as opposed to trailing through all of the summaries and data and things like that, it can pick out the key highlights that you can quickly learn from and improve on. So definitely in terms of data and performance, as I said, myself, not yet in terms of critiquing, but yeah, it's probably just more on me.
Quick answer from me, no, I haven't. I know if I do something wrong, I will hear from people.
I just want to add to that. I think prompting right helps a lot. So if you are able to prompt differently, there are various tools to also sort of learn prompting in a way that you want the response to be in a certain way, the output. So you decide on the output and you decide on what the prompt should be. So AI can work for you just the way you would like it to work. I think that would be something from my side.
Look, I am self-confessed dipping my toe in AI only very recently. I am a very traditionalist up until about 6 to 12 months ago, probably. So at the moment, I've really ChatGPT is the only thing. I'm starting to research other things. In terms of critiquing, definitely haven't used it for that. Probably should, like we say. What I would say is just in terms of asking questions and getting critique, it's probably more in a personal situation, but I think you just need to be very careful that what we're getting back currently is not that generative AI, right? It's what it's learned before about what you've said. So you need to be a little bit careful that it's not just going to give you what it thinks you want to get back from it. Because I think that's still where we're at a little bit. And I think that'll change. But right now, I think you'll hear more what it thinks you want it to tell you. If that makes sense.
In terms of marketing, what do you think are the most effective platforms to use, like compared to LinkedIn to, maybe Instagram or other things? Or should you market everywhere all the time and consistently?
Only if you're trying to reach all the people all the time consistently. And I would say that most people are not. So, it may depend for your business. You may have different sectors. You may have different divisions. So you have different messaging for those different people. You may have different product. You might have performance lighting versus commercial architectural lighting, things like that. So those messaging and how you're communicating are going to be very, very different. Every platform has its space. And I would say that you use the ones that are we're going back to ROI, give you the ROI, whether that's financial or whether that's brand. But don't post, do not post the same thing, exactly the same thing on every single platform and think that you're going to reach the people effectively, because you're absolutely not. Somebody looking at TikTok versus somebody looking at LinkedIn, the verbiage that you're using has to be different, and the imaging possibly even as well. So you have to customize your message depending on platform and audience.
Exactly. I think do those which you can do right. Yeah. So if you can't do all, just choose which work for you. Yes, I come from the company where we have a very different clientele. We work with architectural lighting designers and with people who are, on the stage, working hard day and night, basically pushing the road cases. Very different language, very different segment. I believe all of them have a very different age group as well. Obviously, TikTok and Instagram have a different followers than LinkedIn. For us as a company and for B2B, I think LinkedIn still works the best. How to get interaction and basically how to gain the return on investment on LinkedIn, because people usually see what you do. They know what you do. They don't like liking. Yeah. They don't want to be seen that they are actually liking your brand, even if they are. So very hard to gain what they are actually giving to your company.
Absolutely. And I think with, especially with some of the social platforms, people will see it, they'll absorb it, they'll take on your message, but you might not get those clicks and those shares and the engagement that you're really craving for. But consistency is key. You do need to keep up the momentum, keep posting often. Doesn't have to be overreach, doesn't have to be spam. Post when you have good content that adds value, whether that is humor, whether it is information, whether it is inspiration. We have two aspects to our company. One of it is live events. So we want to be posting, the creative lighting, the beautiful LED screens, the setups that we've done, the behind the scenes, the fun, super engaging posts and inspiring. Then there's installations, which part of it doesn't seem as, we put this LED wall up, but that's a different market to who we're talking to in the creative experiential marketing space. So we're very cautious about who we speak to on which platform, depending on who we're targeting. So as long as you know your audience, but don't feel the pressure to post all the time on every platform to everyone, make it personalized, make it specific and add value. Don't post if you're not adding value.
And just remember, clicks create or give you $0 in your bank account. They make dollars to Meta, not to your company. So whatever you are posting, you are creating money for Meta. Just think about it. It's again about brand, building the brand. Just don't get caught up in the whole, yes, nobody liked my post.
You can try. Build a funnel.
So we have one question here.
Just a quick comment, ladies. Thank you very much. Great presentation. Great food for thought. Look, I've been in marketing for many, many years, and over the years, I've seen different trends come into the issue. AI is the big one at the moment. Sadly, I've got very strong opinions about AI, and I think it creates very lazy people. Or just put in AI, they'll produce all the content for me. Now, what I've seen over the years, there's different trends, etc. What do you see as perhaps the next big thing? It's right now, AI is brought on board. We're getting pestered. We're getting annoyed. We don't trust things. And that's the big ticket issue, trust. And of course, online, what do we see? Unfortunately, malicious people. Now we don't trust anyone. Personally, I don't answer phone calls from numbers I don't recognize. I suspect much of the audience is the same because we just don't trust because people are out there to take advantage of us. So right now, AI is in that situation where we just don't trust things. We dismiss, I think a few of you mentioned that when we get stuff, we get bombarded with emails, we just ignore them. Is there a trend towards something that we might see as the next big thing in terms of perhaps trusted marketing? Is that potentially something we might see?
Transparency. You need to be transparent with what you are doing with the data and how to use them. I think that will gain that trust or reinstall the trust with your customers. Yeah, but yeah, it comes to the legal, obviously, it's very gray legal part of the, how do you use AI? And that comes down, okay, yes, I interacted with the company. They are actually watching me. When do I interact with them? What do I do? When do I sleep? Like all the data. Are you comfortable with that? Have you ever checked what's that company doing? Yes, cookies, yes, no, right? Who actually goes and alters the cookies? Not many of us. Yeah, I think the companies will make it very clear, okay, we are using AI engines, like all of us we are, but this is how we are going to interact, this is how we are going to use them, and this is what you are going to see from us. I think that's important.
I would like to add to that as well in terms of, I guess, the buzzword at the moment is the hyper-personalization, right? So everyone's focusing on this personalization. And then if we carry that through to everything being personalized, so people are only receiving the information that they're interested in, that would give them value, are they starting to create their own customer journey? Are they starting to create their own story with you? So how are we controlling where they go? How are we giving them that information if they're going to end up controlling their own story? I don't know.
Yeah, I think we really run the risk at the moment with this personalization of creating our own little bubble for ourselves and not seeing anything else out of it. And I think it's a massive problem. And without getting political, but you see in the US right now, there's very narrow views around certain topics. And I think the information being delivered, whether it's through media, whether it's through socials, is very, very tailored towards what that person wants. And I think there needs to be a swing back to opening that up a little bit, so people are able to see different options that aren't. And it sort of goes back to what we were talking about before, AI at the moment is only really giving you back what it thinks you want to hear. And I think the next step and the next level has to be to open that up a little bit. And I don't know how, but it's required, I think.
Yeah, just to add to that, I think the brand is also a very important aspect there. So here's where, how do you really communicate the brand values, and how does your customer see your brand as someone they can trust, visual cues, and how you demonstrate value to your customer. I think that would take more importance over AI and performance marketing. All that is there. But building the trust comes from the brand. Any other questions we have in the audience?
I don't have a question, but I just have a comment. Thank you very much, ladies, for your wealth of knowledge. I just want to ask if in the future, if we could have a recording of this. This is such gold information, and it's something you can't just remember, just in one day. The information that you've given out is so good that it would be so good just to take that, what did Jody say? Rewind back, say, yeah, okay. Or what did the other person say? It's just that value we appreciate very much, and it's something that it's very important to carry forward for ourselves as a business also, and I'm sure of a lot of other business that they would like to have that information on hand. So thank you very much.
Very kind. Thank you.
That there are recordings being made, folks, and over the coming months, I know the folks at Integrate will release those in the various newsletters that you will receive had you chosen to opt in to receive that marketing material. Would you please thank Monisha and the panelists, folks?